All right, this is episode 21 of the Bullheaded Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Sean, here with Zoo and P-Bush. What's up, guys?
What's up, Sean? How you
I'm
doing,
excited.
man?
I'm excited, man. We got basketball rumors, man. We got Shams dropping some bombs, man. I'm ready. I'm excited for this show, man. I'm excited.
Nothing like some good NBA rumors, man.
Oh, I love them. I love them.
Yeah, the NBA, it never fails, man. They always give us a lot of great content, and with the NFL being here too, they're always going to be in the forefront. But the NBA with this, I guess, truncated season is kind of giving us a lot of topics. And the first topic I want to get into is the Russ and James debacle, I guess I could say. I think Russell Westbrook, as of maybe yesterday, was saying he wanted to be traded. A lot of suitors for him, and with James, it's kind of, I guess he's in the mode of wanting to say he wants to stay with the Rockets, but we'll see. He might end up on a team in the East. I want to get the guys' thoughts on who they think between Russ and James, who they think is going to stay with the Rockets, or what do they think is going to ultimately happen. And Zoo, I actually want to start with you on this one.
For me, I'm sorry, Houston fans, they gone. Both of them are going to leave. Both of them are going to leave. Man, this is a bad situation, man. This is really, really bad. They could go from becoming a contender to a lottery team for the next half decade, man. Half decade. They don't own their first round picks because they traded two of them to get Russell Westbrook, man. Russell Westbrook and some pick swaps. So Sam Presti, the GOAT GM right now, that dude just pulls off trades like no other general manager I've ever seen, man. He turns bad situations into opportunities, man. That's what he does. And right now, Russell Westbrook, you know my thoughts about Russell Westbrook. Stupid basketball IQ of a dodo bird, unintelligent basketball player, absolute joke. I'm a Bulls fan. I do not want Russell Westbrook on my franchise. Ooh. This guy, this is what I'm saying right now. Right now, playoff contender. So pretty much teams in the playoffs right now, they're going to win a title. They do not want Russell Westbrook. They do not want Russell Westbrook. So I'm looking at those borderline playoff teams that are pretty bad and trying to become relevant. They are okay with playoff appearances of being the 8th seed and losing. So franchises like that, I can see the New York Knicks doing something stupid. I can see the Charlotte Hornets doing something stupid. So these are some of the franchises. Cleveland Cavaliers be like, ooh, we could use Westbrook. So some of these types of franchises, mediocre Sacramento Kings, so a lot of mediocre franchises. I can see the Charlotte Hornets. Charlotte Hornets, Michael Jordan Brand. Russell Westbrook is the franchise player for Jordan Brand. So he has that good relationship. When he goes to Charlotte, they get their superstar that they have never had in franchise history, probably last since like Baron Davis. So it's been a long, long time. You got Russell Westbrook down there. He's the show. He's going to put on a fantastic performance, go for his triple doubles, get those points, rebounds, assists. He loves getting triple doubles, man. Not going to get much W's in the playoffs, but he'll be solid in the Eastern Conference. In the Eastern Conference, that will be a playoff team. Russell Westbrook, what he does, he'll make the playoffs with some pretty average players. He's great at bring role players and winning, I would say probably like 40, 44, 45 wins, man. So that's easily a playoff spot in the East. And the Hornets could do a nice package. They may even trade their pick. They might trade their top two pick this year to get Russell Westbrook. And packaging, I don't know who else. They package some Devontae Graham, some nice young players, some nice young players that they have to the Rockets for a rebuild. Rebuild, obviously, with now Silas as the head coach, they're going a full rebuild. The problem is they don't got their future draft picks. So they're in a tough situation right now with this Westbrook and Harden situation.
This is now the third player that's kind of come out against Russell Westbrook. I do have to add that, Zoo. I think he's starting to have a little bit of a trend. Dwight Howard, Chris Paul. Now we're on to Russell. These are all guys, and I do want to highlight Chris Paul here because I think of all the players that Harden's played with, Chris Paul was the guy that he needed to mend that relationship because Chris Paul's not a dominant ball player. He's totally fine playing off the ball. We saw that in the Thunder. He allowed the young guys to grow, right? We weren't seeing Chris Paul dropping 30 a game. He was putting up 18 and 8. And Harden just got under his skin, man. They just had a lot of back and forth. It didn't work out. Dwight Howard, same thing. Russell Westbrook, that really didn't surprise me. I kind of saw it from the beginning that this was going to be going downhill. These are arguably two of the most dominant ball players in the league. And they have been for a while. Heck, they even played together on the Thunder. And yes, we know that the Thunder didn't want to pay Harden back in the day, but I think also Harden...
Cheap ownership.
Cheap ownership. Yeah, But also, I think that they realized that they had 3 dominant ball players, and that just wasn't going to work. And I think especially Westbrook. So first of all, I think the GM decision to trade for Russell Westbrook was one of the stupidest decisions I've seen in recent years.
James Harden.
Yeah, I agree.
James Harden. Yeah, it was not. I do not blame Daryl Morey because James Harden talked to the general manager, and he wanted Chris Paul out because they got into some little sissy fight, which I never understood because they were great together.
Yeah,
they almost
2
beat
years.
the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah,
they forced a game
Chris
7.
Paul.
Yeah, they were a quarter away from making the NBA final.
Yeah. And they were at home.
And they blew it up.
Yeah. And they were at home. Who gets a home chance against the Warriors with Kevin Durant? Not many teams, man, in a game 7. And they had the shot. Team. That was easily their best shot. That was 2 years ago now, right? 2018. But look, I think that the first move, I think that the Rockets will end up moving Russell first, just because, like you said, Zoo, I very much agree that, you know, his contract is huge. Well, both of them are, obviously. But I think that
133.
Yeah, something like that. And I think that, you know, a team that's looking to gain Russell Westbrook, they're looking for a discount when it comes to what they're giving up because of the contract that they're taking on. So I think a team like the Knicks or the Pistons, maybe playing alongside Blake Griffin, that could be a pretty decent combo. I think I agree with you, though, Zoo. He needs to move to the East. We already know that there's about at least 6 or 7 teams in the West that are, barring any major injuries, locks this coming year in the playoffs. It's going to be a hell of a fight for that 7-8 seed. There's going to be a couple 9-10 seed. I could see them having a couple games over 500 for sure. I think personally, I would move Westbrook first. I think you can get more because some of those teams, they want that excitement. They want to bring in some team revenue. I think the Knicks have been dying for that since they got rid of Melo. But I think that also, I don't know if they'll get rid of Harden just because, Zoo, I think they want to make money until they get to the years in which they have draft picks. So I think they're going to keep Harden for a little bit longer just because he seems to be more mentally there. Who knows if they'll build around him? They may be satisfied making the 8th spot in the West. You know, I wouldn't even consider the Rockets a guaranteed playoff team with all this stuff going on. So personally, right now, I would move Westbrook. I think you can get more in the immediate, whereas Harden, teams are going to have to give up a lot, man. And I don't know.
They would have to give up
the
future
whole
assets
drawer, man.
and current assets. They give up both.
And I was reading this quote today that you remember back in the late 2000s when Kobe was requesting a trade from the Lakers, man. One of the best owners ever, man. Dr. Buss, man. You know what he said to me? He goes, "You're a 5-carat diamond." And he said, "And I don't want 5 1-carat diamonds just because you're worth 5, man. I need a 5-carat player, and I'm not giving you up. You're not worth it." I just don't see them moving Harden at the current day. I think that they'd still want to have some contention. They don't have that many pieces to work with, man. They're playing with a bunch of guys that are under 6'7". You know, they really kind of screwed themselves over trying to go super 2020 NBA basketball, and it really didn't pay off. We'll see if it helps in the future. I just don't see the Rockets coming together. I do not see them resolving this situation at all. I think Russell's a guaranteed out. I think they may hold on to Harden for a bit longer, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they are able to get rid of him, that they do so.
Yeah, and there's a lot of reports out there, even like some of the bench guys, like Austin Rivers, PJ Tucker. There's some ramblings about the Houston situation that's very, very toxic. So now,
it's super toxic. It's kind of scary.
I knew it was toxic the minute Daryl Morey said, "I'm going to resign from this position." I'm like, it's over.
That's it.
When Daryl Morey said that, it was for family reasons. Stop it, Daryl. I know they were about to fire you, man. They're about to fire you. Because of the situation around, even with the China situation, and now with the current roster situation, losing in 5 games to the Los Angeles Lakers. All I can say is LeBron James breaking up teams for a decade, man. That's what he does, man. He plays them in a playoff series. blow up the team, and they got no shot. They lost in 5 games against the Lakers team. I think it's a good Lakers team, not a great Lakers team. I think it's just a good Lakers team. So they knew they didn't have a shot. So now they're going through this situation, and I see James Harden going to the East. Harden is desperate for an NBA championship. Like Russell Westbrook, I don't even think he cares. I don't think he cares about winning a title in my mind. Like Russell Westbrook is like, whatever. I'm a triple-double king. I'm cemented in history as an all-time great player. Yeah. James Harden, he wants a championship ring, man. Yes, he does.
I don't know, man.
Dude, he is salty of losing, man. He doesn't want to be Charles Barkley.
That's his own fault. No, he's joined the ranks. He's joined the ranks of AI and Melo. That's what he's joined. Guys that want to put up great stats, great numbers, but they will be no title stars. That is what James Harden, and I think Russell Westbrook has been there for a little bit longer. I think James Harden is starting to enter that territory until he decides to do what Anthony Davis did, get out of a max contract, take a pay cut. You're still going to make $20 million. Don't worry. Join a team like the Bucks. Do a trade to the Bucks, man. Go alongside Giannis. That might not even be a bad
hate
spot
each other. What are you talking about?
For Russell, I'm just saying, if he's willing to set all that aside and just be a professional about it, he could win a championship with Giannis, 100%.
Bucks don't got the assets, man.
Exactly, and that's another thing. They have an old team. They don't have much young talent.
76ers.
Another decent option.
I think they have the trade assets. Yeah.
We were talking about that a couple podcasts ago.
Future picks.
Yeah.
A lot of future picks to get James Harden. And right now, I think them with James Harden and Joel Embiid, that's a favorite in the
big egos.
That's
two big egos.
Yeah, it's two big egos, but they'll get a chance now. Because James Harden and Joel Embiid, two top 15 players, I would say two top 15 players in the East. He needs to get out the West. Because the West is just too stacked now. It is too stacked. James Harden has no shot, especially if Russell Westbrook down. He doesn't even have a sidekick. Like his second best player is going to be PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker,
a center.
Oh my lord, man! Like, it's looking like a tragedy right now. So James Harden, go east. Go east.
He needs to go east if he wants to actually win. If he's willing to, like I said, if he's willing to set aside his, monetary and his ego, which obviously he's earned his ego. Let's be honest, right? But he hasn't earned the ego of just setting everything aside because he's number one, right? I think honestly, if a trade was to go down between the Rockets and the Sixers, I would actually trade Embiid for Harden straight up and put Harden with Ben Simmons, because I think Ben Simmons is a better combination for James Harden than Joel Embiid is, because Embiid, like you said, Zoo, big men, they need a guy to facilitate them the ball. And yes, Harden can do that, but is he willing to give him the ball as much as Embiid wants it? And I don't see that. Whereas Simmons, he's just kind of a go with the flow guy, slasher, easy drive and kick to Harden in the corner. Could you imagine that, man? He'd be wide open every time. That would be a solid combo. And the Sixers, they have some decent assets. Obviously, that'd be a very now moment getting Embiid back into Houston. He could go back to where his mentor, man, Hakeem Olajuwon. Yeah, exactly. It'd be interesting. And I think that it depends if the Rockets or it depends if the Sixers are trying to go win now, or if they're also kind of trying to do, as we discussed in past podcasts.
They're a win now. They hired Doc Rivers and Daryl Morey.
Or if they decide to move one of their two stars. Who knows? I don't know. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, if the Sixers wanted to make any moves. I think that maybe a Rockets-Sixers move could be best for both teams.
I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense for both teams, especially if the Sixers throw in a lot of future first-round picks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow. That would be great.
Because then the Rockets would actually have something to draft.
Yeah. I could see a situation where, like, ultimately the 76ers get involved with Harden just because Daryl's there. But I kind of agree with people. I think the difference between Harden and Westbrook, I think they're one and the same. I just think their personalities are different. It seems like James, and this is just looking on the outside, looking in, it just seems like because James's personality is more low key, it maybe looks like he wants to win, and Russ is just a hard guy to get along with. But I just feel like they both like to get their points. They both like to do their one man thing, and I think the only reason why Harden, because I don't think Daryl, I just think I'm not a huge fan of him, but I don't think he's as dumb to be like, yeah, let me just get Russ. Like, I think that was Harden and the owner pushing that. And then I think after that, Daryl was just like, screw it. And Harden's like, well, I don't want this anymore. Yeah. So I think they're both, at the end of the day, like, I don't know if they're like Harden, I would want on the championship team because he's like one of the greatest scorers ever, but Russ, no. Like,
if I'm the Bulls, I'm making some calls right now for James
100%.
Harden.
Yeah. Trade that pick.
Future first round picks.
No, trade the current year pick.
Yeah.
Oh, I would trade. Yeah, if I could get James Harden on the Bulls. Woo.
Yeah, good luck with that, though, Zoo. They ain't going to pay him.
I don't know. Zach LaVine, he's a pretty good player. Zach LaVine's pretty good, man.
You'd have to give him up. I would have to. That's a lot you'd have to give up, though, for the Bulls.
Like, you'd have to toss in Lauri Markkanen, too.
Yeah.
I would toss him in.
You toss in Zach LaVine and Lauri Markkanen and this year's first-round pick?
And I would ask for another first round pick. I'm not just taking just 3. Yeah, I had to. Then I would maybe think
the
about
main caveat is right after that, we need to pair him with another star. You need 2 guys to get it done.
I think you can get another star if you got James there. You can definitely get another star because I think free agents want to go to Chicago. But switching gears to other trade possibilities and another James Harden teammate, CP3. There's been a lot of rumors with him going to the Suns. I think I saw a package where they had him with I think getting traded for Oubre and Rubio, which I think is, if I was the Suns, I would hop on that in a heartbeat.
Easy.
But I wanted to get the guys' thoughts on what they think that trade would mean for the West and what position would it put the Suns in if that trade did go through. And P. Bush, starting with you.
Andy, CP3 is my guy, and in past podcasts, I've said he's the guy that needs a championship the most in the league. Obviously, I'm not saying if he gets traded to the Suns, they're going to be title contenders because it is the Western Conference. But look, this Suns team, they went 8-0 in the bubble. I remember vividly us talking about the bubble playoffs and who we thought was going to earn that last couple spots. And we just totally disregarded the Suns. Not even a question. We were like, they have no shot. They were the worst team coming into the bubble. They go 8-0. They get the 9th or 10th spot. They're only like half a game out of the play-in game. Yeah, so they were the 10th spot. They were just out of the play-in game. They have high expectations because of that. I think a lot of people are wondering, hey, can this team actually keep it going? They don't really have a veteran presence. They have a very young team. Rubio is kind of their most veteran player, which I know Zoo and I would agree that's pretty sad if that's the case. But I think adding Chris Paul immediately ups their basketball IQ. I think he's one of the smartest guys in the league. And as we mentioned just in the last segment, I personally don't think he's a ball-dominant guy. We saw what he did with the Thunder. They had a very young team. He allowed those young guys to develop. And I think that he won't get in the way of DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker, who combined last year were putting up about 45 a game. Ayton was getting 12 rebounds. Book was averaging like 7 assists as well. I think that having Devin Booker not be the primary ball handler in certain instances and allowing CP3 to step in could be huge. He can run off the ball. He can play more of his game that we saw him playing in Kentucky, at times with the Suns, obviously. But he had a lot of ISO ball in the past couple of years in Phoenix, and I think with CP3 there, that would take a little bit of pressure off of him. I don't think that this would automatically, as I said, put them in title contention. But look, the Suns haven't made the playoffs since Steve Nash left in 2010, man. They haven't been in the playoffs in 10 years. And Zoo, you were talking about teams that may just want to make the playoffs. They're okay being the 8th, 7th seed, especially in the West. That's still a great feat. Make them extra money, bringing in the revenue, getting the hype up, obviously continuing to grow their very young team. I think that adding CP3 can do that. And Sean, if what you were saying is the package is what's on the table, heartbeat, not even a question. Kelly Oubre is not that crucial of a player. He may have put 12, 13 points up a game last year. Rubio, obviously, massive upgrade with CP3, especially in the shooting sense. But look, I think they're going to be great if they add him. Will they be a contention? No, they might be fighting for that 8th seed, maybe the 7th seed. But I could see a very similar situation if he went to the Suns as to what happened when he went to the Thunder this year.
Absolutely. I'm taking them over the Jazz next year with CP3. I'm taking them over the Blazers. I'm probably having them as a 6th seed, man.
Wow.
6th seed, man. CP3
the Jazz
with that roster. Yeah. I mean, I don't believe in the Jazz. Like Donovan Mitchell, a bunch of guys. And Mike Conley just re-signed. Like, no one wants Mike Conley. There's a reason why I picked up that option. So right now, CP3 with the man. Oh my Lord. That guy. But CP3 with the Suns, man. Not gonna lie, that sounds like a perfect match. Because Devin Booker right now, like him and CP3 have a relationship off the court.
Yeah.
So they have a good relationship. And I can see, I see Devin Booker go into that James Harden type level player right now. So him and CP3 can bring up some Houston magic right now. And they got DeAndre Ayton. So DeAndre Ayton is a nice 20-10 guy. Obviously, he's not Luka Doncic. So obviously they made the wrong pick. But DeAndre Ayton is a starter caliber center. So
he's above average.
I would even say he's pretty close to all-star. Like he could probably make 1 or 2 all-star games, even in the West. So right now you got a 20-10 guy. Devin Booker's a guy that dropped 70 points. So that's ridiculous. He had a Hall of Famer in Chris Paul. That's a stacked roster. And Monty Williams, that guy's a really good coach. I still don't know why he was fired by the Pelicans.
His ex-coach in New Orleans, man.
Yeah, he was a really good coach. He is a really good coach. So obviously, with 3 star caliber players in the West, man, if they were in the East, not gonna lie, they have a chance to get out the East, man. I think they're that good. Dude, CP3 with Devin Booker, have mercy, man. That lineup, dude, you got shooting, you got defense, you finally got the leadership that Devin Booker got no leadership skills at all. So CP3 could take that burden. He could develop like pretty much that OKC roster compared to that Phoenix Suns roster. It's like an upgrade in everything. And yet CP3, and if CP3 stays healthy, easy. I think they're a tough 60, man. Depending on the matchup, they get an upset in the first round, I think. That roster is
like
really, really talented. Yeah. Dude, really, really talented.
Dang.
I can easily see going 7 games against a team like the Nuggets. Obviously, I ain't picking them over the Lakers, but against like one of those like type of teams, man, I could see them having a first round upset in CP3 with Devin Booker. I would love to see that. And not gonna lie, the West will be just getting even better, man. They're just consolidating even better team. Now you're getting the young players and adding a Hall of Fame point guard. Jesus Christ, man.
The only thing is, I don't think they have that much depth, and I think that would end up being their issue if they came to the playoffs. I also think experience. I mean, you can't just put pure reliance on CP3 when it comes to experience in the playoffs. I mean, Booker's never been in the playoffs. He's your main guy. If you need a shot made, you're going to Devin Booker. Obviously, we've seen him make big shots. I'm not saying he can't, but he hasn't done it in the playoffs. We haven't seen that. That's something we don't have a basis for. I think, obviously, as we saw, dude, hey, the Thunder gave the Rockets a run for their money this year in that series.
They could have won. They could have won. They were probably
won
2 possessions away from winning.
Yeah.
It was that close.
And that was almost all CP3. I mean, obviously, you know, Schroeder, Gilgeous-Alexander, they were contributing. Steven Adams is always a beast. But look, I think the Ayton aspect is crucial, though, because CP3 loves playing with a guy that he can lob. You know, we saw that with Blake Griffin. We saw that with Tyson Chandler in his early days in New Orleans. I think there's a lot of love that CP3 has for an athletic big man, but also a guy that he can run off screens, a Klay Thompson type player in Devin Booker, right? Obviously, Devin can put up way more than Klay, but hey, Klay's at his moments too, man. But look, I don't know if I agree with you making the 6th seed, Zoo, just because it'd be their first year. Obviously, Chris Paul does have a relationship.
They're going to make the jump. They're going to make that Denver Nuggets jump.
I agree.
I think they can make that Denver Nuggets jump. Yeah. I remember Denver Nuggets that one year. They played great, barely missed playoffs. I think they were like the 9th seed. They were pretty close. So they were that borderline. They made that jump from going from a young, nice team to a playoff contender. And I feel like if they add Chris Paul, that's just an acceleration right there. That's an acceleration, adding that Hall of Fame type of point guard. And that roster, you got some shooters too. Like Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, you got these role players that knows their roles. They just camp in the corner, hit some threes, be the snipers out there. You got the roles of the point guard and Devin Booker being the lead dog, DeAndre Ayton as the lone center. You could have 4 shooters out. I think in the modern day era, they have a really well-built team if they could get CP3 and just give up Oubre, some picks, and who else? Ricky Rubio? Like, whatever, man. Like, whatever, man.
Get them out.
They are loaded, man. Especially with the shooters. Man, that Suns team could win 45 to 50 games if they get CP3.
Where do you see him without CP3, though?
Without CP3, I can see them getting the 8th seed. As one
you think so?
Yes.
No.
Yes, an 8th seed surprise team. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. No.
I don't know about
There'll be a 35-win team. There'll be a 35-win team without CP3. He'll add 10 games to their win-loss record at least if he were to go there. That's my prediction. They're 35 good, wins? They have 0 basketball IQ on that team right now. Ricky Rubio is their highest basketball IQ.
Yeah.
Ricky Rubio.
They won 47% of their games this year. And even in the West right now, I would say you have to be a little above 500 to make playoffs. So I can see them becoming a 500 level basketball team.
It's an asterisk season, Zoo. It's going to be very interesting to see how they come out, in December. We got a December 18th start date, something right around there this year, right before Christmas.
December 22nd.
December 22nd. Yeah. There you go. Look, I'm interested. I also agree with you, Zoo. I think that, the teams that'll end up fighting for that 8th spot could be, between the Grizzlies, the Suns, Blazers, who else? But Pelicans too. Yeah. But look, I don't know. It's tough because look, they have those expectations, Zoo, and I think that's partially why you're putting them at the 8th seed is because they went 8-0 in the bubble. They just got hot, man. Like that happens for a team. Can they keep it consistent for a 70-game season or however many they're going to be playing this year with the television agreement. I don't 100% see it, but I could see it happening. But if they add CP3, I think they're a lock for the playoffs. But definitely on the lower end. Unless, barring any injuries, of course. Always got to add that caveat since my boy D Rose, man.
Yeah, I could see the Suns making a huge jump too with CP3. Only thing is, I just think how the league is set up, and I don't know how the schedules are going to come out, but I think they so desperately they want Zion in the playoffs. So I could see a scenario where even if they got CP3, I think the Pelicans would still probably have an easier schedule.
No, I disagree,
and I think
man.
they could get in.
That Pelicans roster is pretty. It's okay. I give it to the okay.
They got some
roster.
studs on there. They got at least 2 bona fide guys in Zion and Ingram. I don't know about everybody else, but they got Zion and Ingram.
And I think they're going to be making a trade soon.
Yeah, I think they could be. But that's I guess that goes December 22nd. We'll see how that all shapes out. But one of the last trades, speaking of the Pelicans, that we're going to talk about is a kind of an under the radar one, just because the player is not so much of a marquee name, but a lot of NBA fans know he's a critical piece to a lot of teams, and that's Jrue Holiday. It's been a lot of trade rumors with him, maybe going to certain teams. I know I saw one with him going to Atlanta. I saw one recently with Boston, because I think Boston has 3 first-round picks, so they're trying to trade and do a package with New Orleans so they could probably maybe get Jrue Holiday. Wanted to ask the guys, last question of the night, where's a destination I guess they could see Jrue Holiday in where it could maybe put a contender over the top, or maybe a team that's trying to get into the playoffs, get them into the playoffs? What team can you see him going to and making a big impact? And Zoo, I'm going to end the night with you, man.
The Dallas Mavericks, man, they got to go all in right now with Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis.
Damn.
They have the superstar. When you get a franchise star, you got to go all in right now. Trade whatever first-round picks. Trade some of your nice young role players. Whatever. Jrue Holiday is an elite defensive player. This is a man that made Damian Lillard look like a peasant on the court. He was atrocious. That dude was abysmal and got swept because Jrue Holiday, as a defensive player, all NBA defensive player, man. Even though he's around 6'3", he has great strength, his ability to stay in front of players, his basketball IQ, and he's a good offensive player. Like, this guy averaging 19 points, 21 points in the last 2 seasons. So you got a guy dropping 20 points. And you got a guy defending perimeter player. So this is a guy that could guard the Steph Currys of the world. Even guard the Klay Thompson. He can even guard both guard positions. So pretty much this guy could guard both guard positions. Obviously in the NBA right now, you got to be able to defend these types of quick guards. And he's a bucket getter. So pairing up with Luka Doncic, who's more of a defensive liability, it's a perfect compliment. He can play off ball because he's been playing 2 guard with the Pelicans. Like Lonzo playing point guard. Jrue Holiday's been playing the 2. So he's a combo guard. He can play both positions. Him and Luka Doncic go all in on the Mavericks. Right? I'm all in on the Mavericks right now. It's time to go for the title. Luka Doncic is ready. That guy's a superstar already. Kristaps Porzingis praying for those knees, because those knees got to live up. Because, man, that dude was dropping 26 points against the Clippers in the playoffs, and then his knees gave out. So if he stays healthy, which is a massive caveat, that is a roster that could win an NBA championship with a Jrue Holiday, Luka Doncic, and Kristaps Porzingis.
Who would they trade?
Seth Curry.
Stop. They're not going to trade for Seth Curry.
Seth Curry, future picks.
Nah.
Trey Burke.
Nah. That's not worth Jrue Holiday, man. That if I'm being honest, look, he's great.
Pretty much, Jrue Holiday. People are offering first-round picks pretty much for Jrue Holiday. That's what.
Yeah,
that's
maybe a first rounder straight up, dude. Look, I think if a team's going to be making a move, you got to think about this. Yeah, the West is very tight. I do not see the Mavericks making the title run in the next 2 years. And you got to remember, Jrue Holiday's 30, man, and all the players on the Mavericks that Luka, Kristaps, but they're all hitting their prime. Obviously they'll probably even hit their prime in the next 2 to 3 years. And at that point, is Jrue Holiday still going to be at the top of his game? We don't know. I think that going to a team that has immediate ability to make the finals is crucial. And I think the Miami Heat need to make a move for him, man. I think the Miami Heat need to move on, either move on from Goran, or
trading Goran,
or maintaining or maintaining Goran and having Jrue come in and play the combo 2 guard and then move Jimmy Butler to 3, so on and so forth. Get Jay Crowder out of that damn lineup, man. He needs out of that lineup immediately. I think that of all teams, Jrue Holiday fits the Heat culture the best. This man gives it his all, honestly, to a point that I didn't even realize on both sides of the ball. I didn't know this man was putting up 19 to 21 in the past couple of years. I knew he's always a solid player. He's one of the best footwork guys in the lane, man. He's so good at that up and under move, shifting around big men. But Zoo, I think you made a great point. He's just a team guy. He won the teammate of the year award last year. Everyone loves working with this guy. He's never complained. You never hear anything about him. That is what Pat Riley wants. He doesn't want somebody with all the drama and all that. Everyone thought Jimmy Butler was going to be that when he went to the Heat. I think the Heat need to add one more piece. Goran was a little bit of a defensive liability in this playoffs this past year, especially going up against, the Jason Tatums, Kemba Walker, I'll set him aside. But, I don't know. I think that the Heat need to make one more move if they're going to really take themselves over the hump and have a chance to win an NBA Finals. But look, there's also some other teams that can make a move. The Hawks could make a move, honestly. A team that has a lot of cap space. Jrue Holiday is a fat contract, $26 million option. That's not going to be cheap for something like the Mavericks to take on.
I think that's a bargain. $26 million for Jrue Holiday.
$26 million? What? Dude, Anthony Davis is making 27, man. Come on. Well, look.
That's an even bigger bargain, man. AD deserves 40, man.
But look, the Hawks could make a move, and they need somebody to come in. You want to talk about a team that desperately needs some basketball IQ and leadership. Jrue Holiday is that kind of guy. He's not a silent leader, like I know we've talked about. Obviously, he's winning teammate of the year awards, right? So he's not just quiet guy sitting in the locker room putting up 20 a game. He's getting the guys going. He's worked with the Pelicans team for 7 years now, who's really been rebuilding, and he's kind of stuck through it all. I feel like that's the grind that Pat Riley wants, and someone that the Heat would love to play with as well. I think he'll bring it day in and day out. But look, the Mavs, yeah, obviously that would be great, but I do not see them pulling the trigger. The Heat are looking to make a trade, man. They've been in every single trade rumor in the past couple weeks. I think that they'll end up pulling the trigger. I think Jrue Holiday may end up being the one they do.
I like that pick because Jrue Holiday with Jimmy Butler, that's just very, dude, that defensive tandem. Oh my God. They'll be locking people down. Yeah, I know. Yeah, they got all NBA defensive players at the both guard positions and the center position. They are going to be able to lock down any team, especially Jrue Holiday. He could guard Kevin Durant.
That's what I was just going to say. Your boy KD said he was the biggest pest in 2018.
Jrue Holiday could guard Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, even though I think he's the greatest scorer of all time, those small little defenders that gets out of his skin, super strong guys like Tony Allen. Like Tony Allen at one point for the Memphis Grizzlies made Kevin Durant look like a little bitch, man. Oh, he made him look real sad pushing him around. I'm like, KD, you're 6'10", 6'11", and you can't post up a man that's 6'3", 6'4"? Like, that's embarrassing. And I think Jrue Holiday is that pesky defender that can even guard wing players like LeBron and Kevin Durant and get under their skin. So I think he's just such a super valuable player for any roster.
He could give Jimmy Butler a rest on the defensive end, which is huge. And he could still give you 20 points and 7 assists a game, which is really what Goran was asked to do. So I don't know if they'll move Goran or if they'll maintain Goran and trade some other players.
I feel like the Pelicans would ask for Tyler Hero.
It's very possible.
Are you doing that trade?
No,
I don't think the Miami Heat are going to do that.
Absolutely not. I don't think that they'd ask for Hero, but it could be in the
Pelicans
package.
Absolutely fitting with a young core of Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. Having a white sniper like Tyler Hero on the team fits perfectly. I feel like they would ask for Tyler Hero, especially as a guy that plays off the ball for more ball dominant players like Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram wants to dominate the basketball. I think they would definitely ask for Tyler Hero.
Yeah. Good point.
I don't know. I think I probably would say Jrue Holiday. I like the fit with Trey just because of everybody knows Drew's defensive abilities and Trey plays absolutely none. So like I think it would free him up more to make him more of a he's already a great playmaker and shooter, but I think that would be a nice fit because Atlanta also has a pick. So I think you put Jrue back there, then they get maybe another wing, even though they drafted 2, but like maybe another guy that could maybe put Atlanta in a situation where they're fighting for an 8th seed. And I would love to see Trey in the playoffs because I just think he would just at least make the first round exciting for who they play.
Yeah.
But a lot of great topics as usual. You know, NBA has been carrying us the last couple episodes, but I mean, they have so much content that's coming out, and you know, next week's going to be even more because it'll be the draft and free agency starting, and you know, I'm interested to see where a lot of the free agents are going to go, even though it's not a lot of heavy hitters. And as always with the draft, you know, interested to see who. I think the Timberwolves, they have the number one pick if anybody trades out, things like that. But want to make sure you guys follow the page bullheaded_pod. Make sure you subscribe, like all of our content on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all those great places. And as usual, peace.